Hello everyone, I'm aleksey.danchenko, a co-founder of the Sputnik marketing automation platform. In previous video, we discussed how the real omnichannel strategy should look like in 2020. And the main trends that we discovered are personalization, omnichannel, and dynamic emails. So now we're gonna look at how to implement those approaches in a very simple yet holistic way. Here is an example you probably remember from a school. Those are equations from algebra. You usually have similar complex and not clear formula, and you have to simplify it. You have to factor out different things, so it would look easier, and it will be easier if you will be able to separate something which is common to all components. Let's give it a try. The thing that we have to apply here is to factor out the greatest common factor. So we look at a formula and try to define those common factors. So on the next stage, we can factor out next components and see from a very complex formula we have very simple and readable. And now we can act upon it, we can understand it. So it's much easier when you are able to factor out different factors. So the same way like we did with this equation, our omnichannel strategy is also very complex and hard to understand and hard to implement and change because there's too many data, too many automations, too many sequences, too many segments, and too many different channels to act with. One rule has to be applied. Factor out the common factor. Let's have a look how it could be implemented for omnichannel strategy. And let's start with factoring out channel. Here you can see like one sequence works for different channels. Let's have a look. Like for example, we send a web push. Then we check whether people receive this message or not. And then go to mobile push. And after that, check whether it's opened or not. And if it's not, we'll send email. And probably after that, if we really want this person to get this message, we will change channel to most expensive for text message, for example. And the rules of personalization are applied across every channel identically for email, text message, and so on. And let's try to factor out time. For example, you have quite a complicated strategy designed. And of course, there might be situations when your trigger works in the night or in the time which is inappropriate for receiving messages. And we will define allowed time for all channels together. So all messages sent out with this workflow will be checked whether it fits to the time frame that allowed for sending such messages, and if it not, then it will be queued and sent the next day in appropriate time. And now let's factor out the languages we use in our messages. In a very multilingual countries and territories like European Union, you have to be able to speak on a language which is most desired by a recipient. And how do we factor out language? Well, in our platform, you can create multilingual messages, meaning that the same template can have different language variations. And what does it mean to factor out the language in this case? It means then you just send your campaign or set up a workflow, and language version of email will automatically be sent to every person different, depending on his language preferences. You can also analyze every message the same way and see how effective are they in different languages. The next thing that could be factored out is messaging frequency. Like for example, you have your strategy, and in this strategy you have different frequency for different segments of people, which is quite common, because for engaged people and active audience, you probably want to send messages every day. And if they are inactive for a period of time, then the frequency is lowered. And for those who've been inactive for more than a couple of months, you will probably want to send just one message per month or one message per week. So how can we factor out this? Quite easily. With frequency management strategy, you can define what messages and how often you want to send. Like for example, daily messages are for only active readers. For happy hour message, you can send it for all audience, but not often than once in a week. For promo messages, you can define only particular days when those messages should be sent out. Let's try to factor out design. How to factor out design? It's quite simple, because like I mentioned before, modular design allows you to create design independent from data that will be put in this design. Another example is synchronized modules. Like for example, for St. Valentine's Day. It's quite typical move to change all the logos of your brand and add some hearts or flowers on it. So it makes people more happy about Valentine's Day and more tending to make more purchases related to this celebration. And it's really painful task and tiresome for email marketer to change those logos in every transactional message, every trigger, every promotional that we want to send out. Like typically it might be 40 or 50 different messages that have to be updated. And imagine those logos are usually present in the same place, in the header of a message. So imagine that the headers in all of your messages are synchronized. And once you change it in one place, it automatically changes in all other triggers. It saves time from non-creative and tiresome work. So all the tedious job is factored out, and it changes the way you work with email. One last example. Let's factor out content. How is it possible? Like for example, you see the recommendations you get from recommendational platform, and you can adjust how exactly to use the data that your recommendation platform provides. You can narrow down the offering. Like in this example, if people were looking for expensive mattress, let's not show them something really cheap and inappropriate. So we can just filter out by criteria of price or category. So again, those were examples. Like in that equation, when we've been able to factor out different unimportant things which are repeatable in every component, and then build a real omni-channel strategy effectively. So let's factor out everything tedious and ineffective, and let's focus on delivering the right message to right people in right time, right channel, and right context. With us, you can build omni-channel strategy effectively. So stay tuned. We are going to present you a lot more different ideas how to improve your omni-channel strategy. And please, if you have some ideas that we could implement to improve it, please share it with me or with my colleagues. Here, comment and tell me, what do you think about what we offer? Maybe you have some brilliant ideas that we could implement and improve the process of omni-channel strategy implementation. So if you like this topic, please subscribe and comment and share your ideas with me. We'll be more than happy to communicate with you.